my name is Kelly and thank you for joining me today. Today I'm going to be doing a video on a few of the recent RPG books that I've gotten. So this is kind of like the shiny things. If I'm like a crow, these are the shiny things that make me happy. So I just have a few here that I'm going to talk about in this video, but I do have more, so there will be more videos in the future. Okay, so the first one I'm going to talk about is Trey, which is a solo role-playing. Now this is, it reminds me of Mythic, and if you ever read the Mythic GM emulator, they do reference Tana Pigeon in here and as an influence, and I can definitely see the influence. It is a much less complicated set of rules than Mythic, which it depends on if you like that or not. I really like Mythic, so I think for most of my solo role-playing I am going to be using Mythic, but this one does have, it is a much snappier system. So if Mythic is a little too heavy for you with a little bit more rules than you're interested in using, I really like this one. I've played a couple of sessions with this just to kind of test it out. And so far, it's working really well. So Trey, again, it's just, you use this in addition to your favorite role-playing game. And it has a really nice section in here for example of play. So it gives you quite a long example of play, which is, I want to say almost half the book. So the book total, including some tables, is right about 101 pages. And about half of that is the example of play. So basically this just kind of takes you through, kind of tells you what is solo role-playing. This one does do scenes, which is just like Mythic. So in Trey, the Oracle is 3 dice. It's a D10, D8, and a D6. And you roll all 3 of them at the same time. And then based on what happens with those rolls, it will tell you different information. You also get story tokens. So I believe if it's when you get doubles or triples on the dice, you get story tokens. And so once you've reached a certain number of story tokens, that then progresses the story towards its ending. So you kind of hit the midway point. At that point, you can't earn any other story tokens, and you kind of work your way to the finish from there. And you can decide how many story tokens you want to play for. And then again, it's played in scenes. You're going to log your information. Let's see, they have an example of the log. So this is an example of what the log looks like. So you're going to write your scene number, your location, and the time of the scene, how many story tokens you have, your allies for this, your enemies, your ongoing objective, which can be used closer to the actual scene itself. And then you also have your final goal. So throughout the game, you're going to come up with different objectives that come up that are all leading you towards your final goal. So the Oracle dice, there's again 3 different dice. Your D10 is the actual what's called the Oracle dice, so it's a yes or no. And then as part of that, you can also use the D8 for more details on your yes or no question. So let's say you're asking, is the room occupied? And then you can also ask for your detail group, you want to know the amount. And then the D6 is your probability die. So you can either have likely, very likely, unlikely, or very unlikely. And so depending on what you think the probability is, you can also add either the full amount of your die roll for your D6 or half of the amount, depending if it's likely or very likely or very likely. So yeah, that's about it. I mean, there's a little bit more to it, but not much. It does give you some miscellaneous tables in here that you can use. So that is Trey. All right, and the next one I'm going to talk to you about is actually 4, but it's all the same. It's the International Players Review. So these are little zines that I bought with the Backer Kit holiday market. It was the first time they had this. The first time that Backer Kit had this, and so there was a bunch of different people on there And basically it was just like a storefront. So the stuff that has already been created, it's not like a crowdfunding for this one. And so these had already been created. This is the first year. They released 4 issues. And I guess it's the first time they were in print too. I guess normally they're just PDFs or digital copies. So it was the first time they put these in print, and they just looked cute. So I thought I would get them. And once I got it and I started looking through them, it kind of reminds me of my childhood. So that was fun. It's a game magazine that's supposed to harken back to like the 70s RPG magazines. And it definitely took me back to my childhood. I am not from the 70s though. That is a little too far past. But they have, some ads in it, which you used to get in these, when I think of it, it's like when I was a kid, you'd have those little kid magazines. Now, obviously, they're more of the adult RPG magazines, but same kind of stuff. So it, tells you what it is. This is the first issue of the International Players Review, a magazine for game masters, players, and anyone who spends more time drawing dungeons than doing homework. So they have just a few pages. It's not a ton of pages. This one is 19 pages total with the cover. So it gives you some new monsters for use with your fantasy role-playing game of choice. So not set to specifically D&D or anything. So you have a lantern witch, carries a glowing skull. The light burns and punishes lies, unaffected by normal weapons. HD, I think that might be hit dice. I'm not exactly sure. Or, yeah, I don't know what the HD stands for. AC is, they're unarmored. And then damage, they do 3d6. And then all of them have some rumors. So her rumors are, ask her any question, she knows the answer, but be careful when you answer her. And one of them struck me and I tried to hug a goblin. I don't get it. But so some of them don't make a ton of sense. But there are some monsters that you can use. New post-apocalyptic monsters. So the old ones, translucents, mind moles, half man, half mole. So, and then they usually have some type of article or Q&A. So this is called Rolling Identity. So basically they talk with people in the RPG scene. So this is Christian Kessler, and which is of Longshot City fame. And so what they do is they find these RPGs from way back in the day. So this RPG was Fantasy Games Unlimited, published a system called Villains and Vigilantes in 1979. And so basically they take the person and they walk them through how to create a character in this system. And they kind of talk about it afterwards of, was that good? Was it not good? How was the system? Would you use this in your current system, in your current day? So it's really fun. So they have that. And this is just one of the little cards they sent you since I ordered the thing. So I am an official certified player of the International Players Review. So, and then it has a little dungeon on the back with 9 rooms that you can use. And then more monsters. So just different monsters, additional monsters that they have created here. They, of course, all old school magazines had some type of mailbox. So they have, of course, questions and answers in here. Some of them may be fake, but there you go. And then you have on the back, of course, every, again, magazine had how to subscribe. So subscribe now. And then a couple more just little ads that they have. So just really cute. It's, all of them are pretty much laid out the same. This one I think is a little bit bigger. Yeah, they got a little bit bigger with their second one, and then the third and fourth. So again, mostly exactly the same. They have different monsters, ads. They have the rolling identities. Mailbox got a lot bigger. So yeah, and then 3 and 4 are pretty much the same type. So monster generators, a game. This one is science fiction related, so that's cool. It's not all fantasy. So that is the International Players Review. And the third one is Unseen World, a solitaire gamebook of paranormal investigation and horror set in modern Japan. So I got this from Drive-Thru RPG. It was a deal of the day. So basically in this one, you're a solitaire investigator and you're investigating paranormal activity. You're traveling to different villages. You're keeping track of your resources. You're hiring not teammates, but you're hiring people for your team. So there's more of you looking for paranormal evidence, and that's pretty much it. That's the whole game. I did read that one of the reviews, somebody was hoping to be a little bit more of the paranormal investigation side of it, but they said it seemed more like the resource tracking side of it. Both of those sound fun to me, so that wasn't an issue when I bought it. I haven't played this one yet. It's on my list of items to play. So this one you need a deck of standard playing cards to play, a six-sided die and a 10-sided die. And then there is a character and town sheets that you can print up or, use them digitally if you want to go that route. So the different cases. So you're investigating and researching a haunt location. You're free to move around town, exploring or buying items before starting research or traveling to a new town. But the clock is always ticking to try to be efficient with your time. So basically you're collecting evidence and trying not to go crazy from what you're seeing. And I don't know too much else about it. It just sounded interesting, especially with being set in Japan. And then tells you how to play, or your player turn. So you have to track time. You have to rest, moving to a new location. You can buy common items that you can buy, food items. So a little bit more than, a lot of people, like when they play their RPG games, they kind of don't worry about food and resources like that. So that one is tracked though in this game. Tells you information on how to investigate and close the case. You also have to pay each team member 2,000 yen. So again, there is more tracking of those type of resources, which I'm a nerd. I like to do that. How to travel to a new town, shrine encounters, river encounters, train stations. So, and then you have the character sheets at the back. And that is the Unseen World. I am hoping to get this one played soon. It seems pretty straightforward on how to play just from what, little I've read through it. So I would like to get that one done. So the next one is Cartograph, the Atlas Edition, a solo role-playing game of map making and discovery by Brandon Lee. So this is an Australia-based company. They've been running a lot of sale. I think it's like 10 or 15% off. So I've been hearing about this from a different YouTube content creator, Lone Adventurer. He talked about it, and so I looked into it then, and then I saw it on sale. What's neat is this is a game on creating a map. So the game is actually creating the map, and then once you have the map created, you can actually use that map in a different RPG game that you're playing. So I thought that was interesting, and that's one of the things I want to do. So it's a solo or GM-less tabletop role-playing game about exploring a new world and creating a detailed map along the way. By the end of the game, you will have a brand new map ripe with cities, citizens, and history, perfect to use in other fantasy tabletop role-playing games. And this game is by Ravens Ridge Press. So again, not one I've gotten to quite yet, but I want to. So you need pencil and eraser, paper for your map, a place to take journal notes and record your resources, another game that uses a standard deck of playing cards, a collection of six-sided dice, ideally equal amounts of 3 different colors, and then a 20-sided die and a 12-sided die for random tables. And then there is a QR code right here that you can use to download digital files of the game and game sheets. So you set up, start with a landmark die and 3 biome dice. You create your cartographer. So choose a name, choose a value, specialization, roll for background. And then opening scene. So you may like to know how exactly you came to this new land and what complications you faced in doing so. So you roll on the below table. My voyage to the new land was by way of oceanic portal. The journey was catastrophic and violent. What led to the catastrophe? There you go. Yeah, no, like we couldn't hear you, Lily. If you heard that, that was my dog Lily sighing. She apparently is bored. So you have resources. So throughout the game, you're going to be acquiring and losing a variety of resources. You have reputation, wounds, coins, information on how to create the map, journaling, prompts, cycle of play. So I thought that was really cool. Creating a map as the game and then being able to use that in a different game, a role-playing game. So there you go. And the rest of it is a lot of, you know, using the cards. And then depending on what card you draw, that's the table and then what it means. You have forest names, mountain names, so a lot of tables. And that's it. And then that's what the character sheet looks like. Quick rules reference. There you go. That's Cartograph Atlas Edition. And the last one I'm going to be talking to you about today is Ker Nethalas, Into the Midnight Throne. So I've actually heard a lot about this in different areas. Again, I think the first place I heard about it was on the Lone Adventurer YouTube channel. And then after that, I kind of started seeing it different places. I realized Black Oath, I've supported one of their previous items before Ker Nethalas. I did not back this one when it originally was on Kickstarter. Let's see. So I got both the main book and then also the quick start rules. I started to look into this. You know, basically what the story is they're in this town, Ker Nethalas, and for some reason you've done something bad or you've pissed off the people in charge and you have been sentenced to death. Supposedly you've been executed, and then your body is dropped into this necropolis, just into a pit, and you land on hundreds of dead bodies, which is stinking and gross and disgusting. But for some reason, you did not actually die. So you wake up on top of this pile, and there's no way to get back up to the top, so you just have to explore this ancient necropolis and see if you can find another way to the surface to get out. Most of the time, you're going to die. That's pretty much, basically you die in this book, and that's it. But supposedly there is ways that you can get out and survive. And so I got the quick start rules, and I started to look through it. This book has had a lot of really positive reviews. And the only thing, I was a little confused on the quick start rules. I was hoping, as expected, that it's a fast way to get you into the action and have you digging through heaps of bodies and being eaten by gruesome monsters in the Midnight Throne. It was a little confusing trying to set up the character. And they do have pre-generated characters in the back here. But even then, I was still a little confused on how to fill out the character sheet. So I do wish that there was something in here that gave you more specifics on, you know, in your character sheet, put this information here so it looks like, and then show an example of what one filled out looks like. That would help, I think. But actually getting into it, I haven't had a chance to play it yet. I'm still setting up the character sheet. But it looks really good. I've seen Lone Adventurer play through a couple of his episodes, and it's dark and gross. Basically, it's It's like a dungeon dive. You're basically just going through rooms, and so each room that you're going into, you're creating the room. You're creating if there's anything in there, if there's a monster. Most of the time there is something bad in there that you have to do combat. And each section of rooms has, I think, like a kind of like a boss monster. I haven't gotten too far into it, but I believe that's how it's set up. Yeah, so that is Ker Nethalas. And then I guess apparently the Midnight Throne is a actual throne that is supposedly set up in the bottom of this necropolis somewhere. So that is where that Midnight Throne comes from. Sorry, I don't know if I've done this yet for this book. But if you look at the main book, there are a bunch of different character masteries that you can grab. So you have, what crime were you accused of? So it's a 1d20, that's a d20 roll. You have character skills, so you have to choose their set skills for the character, and then you have to choose which ones you want to bump up to give you a little bit better. So it's a D100 roll, and you want to roll low so that you're underneath your skill level. So they have masteries. There's a lot of different masteries. Bulwark, Duskblade, Icon Collar. You channel the potent power of the icons to unleash a myriad of effects and weave formidable spells. So there you go. So there's a lot of different masteries that you can choose from. Character progression. If you want to get into hit locations, so they do have that in this one. The quick start rolls does not use hit locations, so it is slightly modified roll set just to get you going, where this one does have different hit locations, so depending on what type of creature you're fighting, and then the roll of where you hit them, dealing damage, fumbles, combat encounters, so different what you're actually encountering for your combat, and then it has the stats for those monsters. So there's quite a few different ones in here. Loots and spoils. So there, that is Ker Nethalas. Again, it's gotten really good reviews. I do want to get this to the table, as I have to get a lot of my different games to the table, but that is also higher on the list to get to the table because it does sound interesting, although a bit dark and deadly. And that's it. Thank you for joining me. These are just some of the items that I'd like to get to the table soon. Hopefully I will have more videos of these because I have a lot of items that I have to get to the table. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.